I remember FastPass in Disney World like it was yesterday. Since, well, it kinda was. But we've said our goodbyes to FastPass lanes and a big fat hello sailor to lightning lanes. The new way to skip the standby line, but it's gonna cost you. Now more than ever, you have to decide which rides, if any, are worth your extra cash. Some rides might be worth the extra money, but the rides on this list, yeah, probably not. Hey everybody, it's Chris for AllEars TV and AllEars.net. Today we're breaking down Disney Genie Plus and those individual attraction selections. We're ranking the worst fancy rides in Disney World. Well, they're not the worst rides. They might just be the worst rides to spend your fancy money on. Something like that. Anyway, once again, we have called upon the AllEars community and went straight to AllEars.net readers and social media followers to compile this list directly from you to help your fellow viewers decide which of these fancy ride lightning lanes are not worth the price tag. Your pick for the fourth worst fancy ride in Disney World is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is a newer ride in Disney's Hollywood Studios. This trackless dark ride opened in March 2020 and replaced the fan favorite, the Great Movie Ride. The ride is based on the wonderful world of Mickey Mouse animation, and the trackless ride system integrates with several scenes involving screens, animatronics, and physical sets.
Cowpoke 307 said, "Amazing ride. Queue leaves a little to be desired, so maybe wait until the line is short enough to walk right into the theater. Pre-show is cute, walking through the screen is a cool effect. Didn't know what to expect once I boarded the train, but it all blew me away. Each room was bright and colorful and puts you inside the cartoon. The choreographed dance with Daisy was awesome, and by the end of the ride, I couldn't help just to sit back, smile, and take in the magic of Disney."
I feel like everybody has an opinion about Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway because it replaced Great Movie Ride and people felt some type of way about it. I personally loved Great Movie Ride. I thought it was an amazing attraction. Now I did also think that it needed an update. Did I want to get rid of it completely? No, and I think that that was silly. However, I also stan Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I love that little ride.
Listen, I get it. You love the Great Movie Ride, I love the Great Movie Ride. Everybody loves the Great Movie Ride. But this is still a great attraction, and it's not Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway's fault that it's there. So you should still ride this attraction even if you are a diehard Great Movie Ride fan. It's got incredible technology with that projection mapping. It stars Mickey and Minnie. It's their first attraction ever. We need to all support Mickey and Minnie after all these years. And it really is a cute attraction. It's got a catchy song, and I love how much thrill they were able to get into a family ride that doesn't have a height requirement.
The queue for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is through Grauman's Chinese Theater, with film posters of fictional Mickey Mouse films and shorts from the animated show. The animated pre-show features Mickey, Minnie, and Pluto getting ready for a picnic, and their hijinks result in an explosion that breaks the screen. Seriously, it's a big old hole through which guests are ushered into the final queue for the ride. Once guests board Goofy's train, he asks, "What could possibly go wrong?" And, well, it's Goofy. Everything goes wrong. Multiple scenes integrate screens and animatronics, taking guests through scenes including a desert, a tornado, an amusement park, under the sea, and even a dance studio.
When Daisy Duck tells me to conga, that is when I peak as a person.
Runaway Railway typically costs around $8 per person for the Lightning Lane, and wait times can range from anywhere between 30 minutes and all the way to over 100 minutes on busy days.
Brit S117 said, "My husband and I went on this ride first thing in the morning and we left underwhelmed. I feel like the concept is good, but the execution left something to be desired. I really, really hate the new animation style for Mickey and Minnie. I find the characters to be downright scary instead of cute. That aside, there was just that something missing from the ride to make it magical or wanting a second ride."
So Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway does implement the new animation style of Mickey and Friends that is probably considered pretty divisive amongst fans. I think that if you are someone who is not looking for kind of like a slower, family-friendly dark ride, this is not going to be worth your money for the fancy ride. Typically, you can get on this ride standby during normal times within 45 minutes or so. So if you really do want to ride it and you don't mind waiting a little bit, I think there are definitely better choices to spend your money on in Hollywood studios.
This is a secret. Don't tell your friends. Wait time drops at night. It does. It gets a lot lower. I've waited like 25 minutes for it at night. Also, I rode it recently when it had like a 75-minute posted. I think I waited like 45, so it was like way less than I was supposed to. So I'm just saying, you can save your money and not like pay for the lightning lane for this ride. You can still get a relatively short wait, especially if you're spending your whole day in Hollywood Studios. Just head to Mickey and Minnie's either first thing or maybe last thing, and you'll have some good luck. I think. I feel good about it for you. I feel good.
The pros. The trackless dark ride system is well done and a really fun addition to the ride. You get classic Disney characters on this ride, from Mickey and Minnie to Goofy, Pluto, Donald, Daisy, and more. This ride isn't just scenes, it's a nice mix of mediums that create a very unique and entertaining balance. The cons? A lot of people are still wondering, did the Great Movie Ride really have to be replaced? And why with this ride? Some people might be frustrated with the addition of even more intellectual property in Disney parks instead of creating new ideas. This ride does see some long standby waits, but you can often find shorter wait times first thing in the morning and at the end of the day. Check out wait times before you pay for that lightning lane access. Your pick for the third worst fancy ride in Disney World: Frozen Ever After. Located in Epcot's Norway Pavilion is Frozen Ever After, a log flume dark ride that takes you through scenes from the mega blockbuster Frozen. Frozen Ever After replaced the ride that was previously called Maelstrom, themed after the culture and mythology of Norway. Frozen uses the same course and ride vehicles as Maelstrom, but replaced everything authentic Norway with everything fictional Arendelle. Frozen Ever After opened in June 2016, and it has remained a popular Epcot ride ever since.
A fan of Disney World said, "This is a great ride in Epcot's Norway Pavilion with cute animatronics and a subtle drop. I'm not sure if it was worth the long wait it gets, but it is still a ride I would recommend to others."
Frozen Ever After is basically a rethemed and remodeled Maelstrom, but you do get some really cute characters. You're going to get to see all of your favorites from Frozen, such as Elsa, Olaf, Anna, Kristoff, Sven. All of the gang is there.
I will say that it is maybe not worth the lightning lane purchase as well, since that wait time can drop, just like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Like, you can wait later in the day and that wait time will drop. I have seen it spike really like to a wild amount just when there were a lot of lightning lane purchases, so you might see that happen, but you can usually get on Frozen with like a very short wait towards the end of the day, or if you rope drop, because not a lot of people are rope dropping Epcot, it's probably not worth the lightning lane just because that wait does drop, and that's, do you want to spend your money, or do you want to just maybe wait till a better time of the day? Probably wait till a better time of the day.
The Frozen Ever After ride queue is mostly a nighttime visit in Arendelle, and you even get to visit Oaken's trading post at one point in the queue. On the ride, guests are taken through multiple scenes involving audio animatronic Frozen characters including Sven, Olaf, Anna, and Kristoff, with the humans' faces actually projected into the animatronics. In Elsa's ice castle, she sings Let It Go, while digital projection mapping shows Elsa's ice powers as the track transitions riders backwards. Then Marshmallow, a giant snow monster, blows guests forward down a small drop. Just for the record, I sat in the back left of the boat and managed to get pretty wet. Frozen Ever After generally costs around $9 for Lightning Lane, and depending on when you visit, wait times can range from 30 to 45 minutes to over 125 minutes. One benefit of the queue is that a lot of it is located inside, which can be nice on a hot or rainy day.
Molly's #1 fan said, "We loved this ride. It's beautiful and of course we love the music. The animatronics are great. Sven was our favorite. The unexpected drop was great and was appreciated by my 15-year-old nephew who wasn't thrilled about this one. LOL."
Molly's #1 fan. First of all, I'm your #1 fan. Thank you so much. That's so nice. But second of all, Frozen Ever After. It's a great attraction. It's a really cute family ride. I love it. The animatronics are cool. My favorites are the Sven and Olaf animatronics because they're super duper cute. So I like this attraction. I think it's great, especially if you've got little ones that are obsessed with Frozen. Should you pay for it? It honestly really depends on the day and how much you want to ride this attraction. If going to Epcot and not riding Frozen or not waiting in a long line is going to be just fine, then I don't think you need to pay for it. If you rope drop it or you have extra magic hours or after park hours from being one of the resort guests, then maybe you don't need to pay for it because you can ride it without a long line during one of those perks. But if this is going to be a make or break for your Frozen loving little kids, you might want to consider paying for it. But I don't think for most people that's going to be the case.
The pros. Frozen people will love this ride. Well, people that like Frozen, not Frozen people. You get it. It has all your favorite characters from the film, the iconic song Let It Go, and more. The ride reverses and has a small drop, which means it's family friendly, but adds a little spice for older kids and adults. Much of the queue is indoors, in Arendelle, on a starry night, and you even get to pass through Oaken's Trading Post. The cons? Frozen turned Epcot into Ipcot, as many people were upset to see IP, or intellectual property, infesting Epcot's World Showcase in the form of a fictional Norwegian village. On a busy day, the queue can extend all the way to the China Pavilion, and on a hot or rainy day, it's not great. That's when you might want to spring for the Lightning Lane. Like many Disney queues, this one weaves back and forth in a relatively confined indoor space, so you might feel a little crammed during a long wait. Your pick for the second worst fancy ride in Disney World. Space Mountain. Space Mountain is a classic Disney ride located in Tomorrowland in Magic Kingdom. The Disney World version of this ride is the original Disney Parks Space Mountain that opened in January 1975. It's a space-themed indoor roller coaster in the dark. Seriously genius. It even sometimes gets special holiday overlays. You might want to note that each ride vehicle takes only one rider per row.
Justin Does Disney said, "This ride is iconic as they come. As a kid, Space Mountain was the pinnacle of roller coasters for me. As an adult, I still look forward to riding this on every trip to Magic Kingdom. It does throw you around a lot with sudden bumps and drops, think turbulence on steroids, but man, is it worth it shooting through space in the dark. This ride even has special overlays for holidays and after-hours events, which makes it even more fun."
Space Mountain is a classic Disney ride. I mean, this is also like the big bad coaster when you're a kid. I specifically remember when I was first tall enough to ride Space Mountain, and I was horrified because I was also very afraid of the dark as a child. And I remember that my brother wasn't tall enough and I was. And I was like, I gotta do this to report back to my bro. I gotta get on this ride and conquer my fear of the dark so I can come back and tell my brother what space is like. And I did it. I put on my big girl pants and I got on the ride. And I don't think I was that scared because there's a lot going on in there. I wasn't really able to focus on the dark because I was busy blasting off through space. So
The ride queue for Space Mountain takes guests through space with large space windows from which guests can catch glimpses of astronauts, planets, and more. The ride itself has a height requirement of 44 inches, so it's fairly family friendly. Guests board a rocket-shaped ride vehicle that takes them on a 27-mile-per-hour trip through space. If you've never ridden Space Mountain before, this ride is dark. So keep that in mind if you prefer to see where you're going, because you won't. Space Mountain's Lightning Lane costs $7 on most days, and it's important to note that the wait time rarely exceeds 60 minutes. You might be able to find shorter wait times early in the morning or late in the evening as well. Reviewer Perkicizing said, Who says you need loops to be a great coaster? As usual, the theming is simple but excellent, and the fact that you are going at a certain speed in the dark is exhilarating and never gets old. This is an older ride, so it might be a little jerky, but otherwise, nothing else to really complain about. Go on it. Have a blast.
Like most other rides on this list, wait times can vary quite a bit depending on everything from the day of the week, the time of day, to the season that you are visiting. I highly recommend following AllEars.net, and you will find daily wait times that are posted. That way you can get a better idea of what you can expect for each ride depending on the time of year.
Do I think you should pay for Space Mountain? No! This attraction has a very low wait most of the time because there's 2 tracks. It's essentially 2 attractions inside of Space Mountain. So it moves really, really quickly. And even on busy days when other attractions in the park have very, very long lines, you can find windows where Space Mountain has a very reasonable line. So this is one I definitely do not recommend paying for.
The pros. This ride opened in 1975, and it's a classic Disney World ride not to be missed. That is, unless you hate roller coasters, or the dark, or both. At $7, Space Mountain is one of the cheapest lightning lanes you can get. With ride times rarely exceeding 60 minutes, even on busy days, it's not the worst wait time in Disney World. The cons? The 1 rider per row. This makes it difficult if you're going with a younger child, or even if you're scared and prefer to ride next to someone. It's dark. Yeah, really dark. You might worry you'll be lost in space at times. I'm sorry about that. It's on the paper. I'm just reading it. At 3 minutes long, it can be a letdown if you wait a long time or if you pay for a lightning lane pass. Your pick for the worst fancy ride in Disney World. Expedition Everest. Expedition Everest is located in Asia in Disney's Animal Kingdom. This steel roller coaster opened in 2006 and it remains the tallest roller coaster in Disney World. The ride is themed after a fictional story in which a Yeti monster must protect the Forbidden Mountain, which is right next to Mount Everest. It originally held the record for the most expensive roller coaster in the world until Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure was built in Universal's Islands of Adventure. Expedition Everest is the first Disney ride with trains that travel backwards and forwards. Expedition Everest seems to also have more positive 1-sentence reviews than other attractions like Anonymous, Favorite Coaster Hands Down, Maddie 2010, Best Ride Ever, Naomi Wan Kenobi. This ride is so much fun that after my first ride, I just got straight back in line to ride again. Coco, great ride, do it every time I go. Okay, actually, I know that's 2 sentences, but there was no punctuation, so...
I may be a little bit biased because Expedition Everest is one of my personal favorite rides, but it is incredibly thrilling. The theming is excellent, and it is absolutely just an adrenaline pumping roller coaster.
Okay, this one is definitely the worst pick for a lightning lane. It rarely ever has a long wait. Despite being one of the most popular rides in Animal Kingdom and all of Disney World, Expedition Everest is a very high capacity ride, so it's like barreling people through the Forbidden Mountain. I mean, like, so many people just get rocketed past that Yeti constantly. It's so high capacity. So the thing is, that line's gonna move quickly, which means it often doesn't get a chance to get very long. I cannot remember the last time I waited more than 25 minutes for Everest, and that's just not worth an upcharge in my opinion.
Expedition Everest actually has 3 different lines: standby, lightning lane, and single rider. The ride queue contains nods to the Yeti, like a Yeti footprint, and it begins with a Himalayan Escapes travel agency office. The ride vehicles resemble a steam-powered train that is meant to take guests from the village of Sirkazong through the Himalayas to Mount Everest. But when the ride reaches the top of the mountain, the tracks have been destroyed. Riders are then taken backwards through the mountain to a cave in which the Yeti can be seen as a shadow on the cave wall. The ride then transitions forward again, taking guests down the mountain on its way to the big finale when you come face to face with the Yeti. Actually, the Yeti was supposed to be an animatronic, but after a few months of the ride operating, it essentially broke down and has never been repaired. If you want to learn more about what happened and about this ride in general, you can click on the link for our Expedition Everest ride video and learn why the Yeti is now called Disco Yeti. Expedition Everest costs around $7 for its Lightning Lane, and it generally does not have a long wait. Frequently, you might even see it with a 10 to 15 minute wait, and with multiple queue options, Lightning Lane just might not be worth it.
Gryffindor Artist said, I love the queue and the story. This is one of my favorite attractions at Walt Disney World. I do prefer this over Splash Mountain just a little bit, but I love going backwards, and the droppings, and the drops are so thrilling. And Disco Yeti is a pro, haters.
Listen, I love Expedition Everest. It is one of my favorite attractions in all of Walt Disney World, and the theming at this attraction is unbelievable. There's a full story about how the natives used to go up and use those tea trains to deliver tea, which you can see growing at the base of the mountain, but then mysterious things started happening, so they stopped using it, but a travel company came in and bought those tea trains because they want to have Himalayan escapes. And so you are going on Himalayan escapes and you are going to venture up the mountain. It is an incredible attraction. That said, you likely do not need to pay for a Lightning Lane. Even on the busiest of days, this will have one of the lowest wait times in the park. Plus, they're single rider. So even though you're separating from your family to ride single rider, it's likely going to be a lot less wait. I rode single rider the other day. I waited 30 seconds to get on this attraction. So there are other ways to ride this attraction quickly. Single rider, and again, the queue moves quickly. It's a very cool, detailed queue detailing this backstory about you going on an expedition. So in my opinion, this is one that is not worth shelling out the cash, but it's absolutely worth riding.
The pros. If you enjoy thrill rides, you have to ride Disney World's tallest roller coaster. Like Space Mountain, Expedition Everest has one of the cheapest Lightning Lanes. You're probably not going to wait long for this ride, whether you get a Lightning Lane pass or not. The cons? If you prefer a longer ride, you might not want to splurge on a Lightning Lane for a 3-minute ride. Don't enjoy riding rides that go backwards? Well, you might want to skip Expedition Everest. For now, you get Disco Yeti, and there's no way to know if the Yeti animatronic will ever be repaired. In our lifetime, or ever. And that does it for your list of the worst fancy rides in Walt Disney World. What did you think of this list? Did your favorite ride make it, or do you feel like your fellow viewers got it all wrong? Head over to AllEars.net to leave your reviews for everything Disney parks related. Hotels, restaurants, rides, that's just the beginning. There's lots more there to see. You have the power to change this list right now by leaving your own review. And who knows, your opinion may be included in a future episode. If you like this video, please go ahead and click on that thumbs up. Be sure to stay tuned to AllEars TV and AllEars.net for more Disney news. Follow us on social media at AllEars.net. New to the channel? Check out our other AllEars videos right here, and please subscribe to AllEars.net. Clang the little notification bell and you will immediately get notified when we post a new video. How cool is that? This is Chris for AllEars TV. See you next time.